is it safe to say that in 2024 the Star Wars brand has never been in a weaker spot? Right? Like I think we had like a close brush in the 2000s when people weren't as crazy about the prequels, but for the most part, people were still into Star Wars stuff because then you were getting the Cartoon Network Clone Wars, which was amazing. You know, a lot of these like animated shows are really good, but now it's like outside of what was it, Andor, everything Star Wars related seems to kind of just be collapsing, and you know, Star Wars Outlaws seems to be another victim of mediocrity.
It's Disney's fault, bro.
You think so?
It's Disney-fied Star Wars, bro. Because and I'll go there about this. I keep telling people the last best Star Wars movie was Rogue One.
Yeah, you didn't like what's it called?
You could tell like after that movie, things just shifted. Like the tone just shifted of things. Like, like I said, man, it's Disney-fied Star Wars, man. It's like the entertainment aspects of like Disney and, you know, the properties that they have acquired. I feel like personally it's taken over too much. And, you know, it's impacted the Star Wars license. Like, you know, for example, let's go back into EA's run. Star Wars Battlefront, you know, a cult classic. You know, people were so happy that this was backed. And the first one was basically a tech demo.
Yeah, $60 tech demo with that.
Yeah, and you know they centered it around the movie and all that other stuff, and then you know that flopped, and then you know the second one, you know, the second one was better, but then it still had its issue. I was like, bro,
the
like
microtransactions, bro.
Geonosis, bro.
Yeah, those
the
loot
planet
boxes
that started the Clone Wars is DLC. I was like, bro.
The loot boxes and microtransactions were disgusting for that game.
And it took so long for that game to just be revived. I mean, people are still playing it now to this day because it's the only thing that they got.
And to be fair, it's significantly better. Like it's a lot better than it was where it started.
Yeah, it really is. And okay, so you know, the biggest hit was, you know, Fallen Order. Fallen Order was good. Jedi Survivor,
solid.
It was still solid.
Yeah,
it had its issues, but then now, you know, here comes, you know, the Ubisoft formula of gaming in terms of their games. Like, you know, they have some good points there. You know, the graphics for this game is very beautiful. I did like the world immersion, but it's just the gameplay was just very mediocre. And you see it. You could just see it in the trailers, bro.
Yeah,
you could see it.
The whole like big heaping of just like, this is okay, right? Like not horrible. You've seen worse, but I'm like, this is okay. I've seen better stealth. I've seen better stuff from Ubisoft. Like that's the crazy part. Like I've seen you guys do stealth better than this. You know, so you're not meeting your own standard. Then it's like, from what I mean, I haven't played the game, but from like the reviews I've seen, the clips I've watched, is like you don't have that open freedom that you would in Far Cry, right? You're kind of restricted in a lot of parts of the game, especially the story parts. Whereas at Far Cry, you had a lot more freedom to explore. So I'm like, you didn't follow up that part. And then like in your combat mechanics, like yeah, it's a shooter, but like that's all she has as a character. So there's not much else she could do. So then it just kind of becomes like, okay, if all I can do is pick up random guns, what about this makes her memorable?
And then hack a few things. And it's like, yeah, you know, you're a smuggler. But I did feel like, you know, being a smuggler should really come with a lot more trades. Like, especially the time period that you chose is like, well, you know, because I did like the fact of like, you know, showing different parts of people. How did they fare under the Empire?
Yes.
How do they navigate space? Like, yeah, bro, you might have a haul, but if these Imperials just say, hey, what do you got there?
Yep.
What are you going to do? Are you literally going to become a galactic fugitive and light speed away? Or are you just going to risk might being killed and thrown in jail? And it just wasn't really there. It really was not there. I was not a fan of the whole alien sidekick type of thing.
Hey, come on!
Come on,
Tim. You know the corporates in the boardroom were like, well, you seen the Mandalorian? It worked with Grogu.
Well, first of all, that is a Jedi, and that is not a kid. That is not a kid. Because remember, they say aliens age differently. Because technically, he's older than him.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just like it's like no, like I get the whole furry creature thing, but then like I said, there's too many aspects of the Disney Star Wars coming into these games.
Yeah.
And that's what I, as a personally, as a Star Wars fan, I don't want that. I don't want that. But I get it. You want something to relate to the new market, because I am seeing that, in terms of like the things that we grew up on, we're kind of like fading out. Like they're still using us as that nostalgia hook, because we're the ones who are going to introduce this to our children, niece, nephews, all those other things. But you do start to kind of feel like they're pushing us out.
Yeah, and I mean that's fair, right? I mean, if you think about how long Star Wars has been around, it's like at some point we gotta go, right? Like they don't have to cater to us anymore. And I think a lot of the things, to your point, that like we thought were cool at that time because they aren't as interested to the new generation. Of like, for us, seeing the droids, right? Of like, man, look at what these droids can do. That's so cool. Like we're in like the technical boom of like, man, they're talking to a hologram. What? Like that era is over. So now we're in like the cute mascot era of this. But it's like kind of like at what cost? Because like to your point, it's like, well, who's buying this game? It's not your nephew. It would be you, right? Or like someone within your age range or a little bit younger. So it's like, you don't have to hit me with the like, she's a cute but scruffy protagonist who's morally ambiguous and has a...
And what's so funny, and I guess this is like Ubisoft from EA thing. You do realize, remember in the second Star Wars Battlefront game, there was an original story with an ex-Imperial character. Remember, she had a robot droid sidekick. I was like, okay, so let me guess. She sends out the droid to hack this machine to, scramble the enemy. Oh, what does this little furry creature do? Oh, attack.
Yep.
Get this item.
Hack, yeah.
I was like, really?
Yeah. Before we talk about the controversy with the early access, do you think that this game would have benefited from trying to be like Grand Theft Auto in space? Like, what do you think would have like helped this game like catch more eyes and more attention?
When you say Grand Theft Auto in space, I understand what you meant, because there was a Star Wars Underworld game that was supposed to be released many years ago that got cut, and many people have been still starving for that. Like, we would love to see that, because like, bro, like we've seen hints of it. Like, we've seen hints of it in the Clone Wars, we've seen hints of it in Rebels, and even some of the live actions, like the Star Wars Underworld, is very, very interesting. Because it's not just you who trying to make a dollar. Like, you got to deal with bounty hunters, right? You got to deal, like, the fact that, bro, you found out that there's different sets of mafia in space. The Hutts, the Pikes. It's like, bro, one small step, babe, you are dead.
Yeah.
You are dead. Like, like I like when I was looking back at something like that, like I was like, oh, Han owed Jabba money. Like, you never really understood like the magnitude of that. It's like, yo, this man owes the Hutts money. Yeah. And he just disappeared to join some rebellion because he loved the girl, and it caught up with him. It's like, hey, Jabba, I was supposed to pay you back. It's like, but bro, like you just disappeared. Right. I had to come find you. You didn't come looking for me. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting concepts, man, that I just kind of feel like the Star Wars, because like, let's be real, like, the good versus evil story is starting to get very tired. And I feel that's where I feel the Underworld could actually thrive, because to be honest, bro, you don't got to throw morality at us. You don't. Yeah. We just want to see what's about to go down. Yeah, and I think the games are a good way to explore them, right? Because the games are always considered to be quote unquote not canon, or very loosely in the canon, right? So it's like, even with Cal Kestis, if he ends up being a great Jedi, it's like, okay, that's fine. Okay. We still have Luke being a goody two shoes somewhere off in space, right? Like, it doesn't corrupt what we know about the Jedi at their core if we see this one character embrace the dark side in the third game. Like, it's like you said, like, it shows us like what's real. Like, what's really happening within this world, where it's not just like the forces of light and the forces of darkness clash, and you're either the most wholehearted person in the universe or you're like the filth of the universe. It's like, well,
where does that, where's that line? Like, let's not forget, like, the Jedi mind tricks isn't exactly noble, right? If I'm like, you will give me this passageway, you will give me the most expensive thing in your shops, like, that ain't, it being for the cause doesn't make it good. Like, you're still stealing, but yeah, I don't know. I think Disney's gonna have to kind of give it the Deadpool and Wolverine treatment at this point. What I mean by that is, like, go for a game that's M for mature for Star Wars. Just do it. Just really go in, really show. Like, I'm not saying M for mature, like, people don't gotta get decapitated or anything like that, but just go for, like you said, like, go embrace this established lore of, like, here's this mafia aspect, here's this seedy underworld. Hey, you might even run across a couple of Jedi who fell off the bandwagon and now they're mercenaries, right? Or they're Jedis for hire, or whatever the case may be, that allows you to, like, flesh out this universe in a way that sparks interest of, like, man, that's a really interesting concept. I would love to know where that goes, with good mechanics, of course. Right? That's always the underlying thing of, like, even though apparently the story picks up, it's like the combat's still mid.
Because to be honest, a good game that really explored the underworld was in the PS2 era, Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I remember Jango Fett. He came across another Mandalorian who was also a mercenary for hire. The mercenary was hunting down this guy, and he caught him. And the guy was scared because the dude was about to kill him. He's like, I'm worth more alive. He's like, you're worth enough dead. And I was like, bro, that is very scary. It's like, and that's why I said, like, bro, there's so much you can explore. Like, there's so much you can explore, man. And it's just very sad that we've just come to this place of, like, mediocrity where it's just like, here, oh yeah, buy this Ultimate Edition and have a good day.
Right. And don't forget to get the season pass, because that's when we really go into the Hut story. It's like, what? Excuse me?
You're waiting to the DLC to go in? Okay. Okay.
Right.